Are you ready to take action to attain the lifestyle of your dreams?
It's a great way to make a lot of money fast.
What's up, Clever Investors? Welcome back to the Clever Investor Show. I'm your lucky host, Cody Spurber, the OG Clever Investor, and today in Clever Investor Studios, we got somebody who had a guest appearance in Andy Elliott's episode real fast. I threw you in there just to say hello real quick, and I said I want you back on the podcast because not only is your story dynamic and crazy, but also I think there's a lot of impact that you are making and will be making in a lot of my listeners' lives. So back in the studio now for his first official time here being a full-fledged guest, we got Aaron Williamson on the show with us right now. Thank you for being here.
No, I appreciate you.
From Marine Corps to Hollywood to now helping a lot of entrepreneurs get their shit together.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about.
Yep, we do. A lot.
Yes, a lot. And by the way, on your way in here, I said to myself, and if you're not watching this, you might want to pop over to my YouTube channel just to see him. He's a specimen of a man. He's got muscles on muscles, which I didn't know was possible. But now I gotta go hit the gym. As soon as we're done with this shit, I'm gonna go hit the gym.
Well, if you want to go, I'll go with you.
I've heard bad things about you, dude. I heard you black out, like you go dark.
Dark, yeah. I call it deep water.
What do I want to go in the deep water with you? I don't think so.
There are levels to health and fitness. How far do you want to take it? It's level 5, level 10. I say deep water. Think about being in the deepest water you can be in, trying to stay afloat in a very painful way.
Or you just go to the gym just to destroy yourself?
It's about creating a different mental growth as well as physical growth. But you have to bring your mind to a place where you have to embrace pain in a very different way.
Let's unpack that because look, I've been on this fitness journey for the last couple of years. It's been fun to really for the first time, see my body shift. A lot of things go into that, making that happen, especially now that I'm 45 years old. But before we get into the fitness stuff, which is your unique specialty, I want to talk a little bit about your journey and your story that got you here because it is really dynamic. You've been through a whole lot. So first off, you are a veteran. Thank you for serving. I was in the Navy. I was your taxi cab driver on the ocean. All the badass Marines would pile on the ships and we would drive you to wherever you wanted us to go. And along the way, you would harass us because we were all much, much weaker than you, apparently.
I love it.
Well, that's what we were told by you guys anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, well.
Well, I enjoyed sharing that story with you, by the way. I didn't know you were Navy on the last time we were on, and just talking about the story you tell, that's a typical story where the Marines are, we're jarheads. We have a meathead mentality sometimes.
Well, I actually got into a fight with a bunch of Marines, and I learned very quickly that is a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah, all around, and they're much tougher and stronger than you think they are. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Born in Florida,
Daytona Beach.
How did you end up in Hollywood, coming from Florida? Because it's quite a journey to go from one side of the country to the other, and I know you've had some major breakdowns along that path.
Yeah, to kind of fast track what that looks like from Florida to Hollywood. Growing up, I was the asshole kid, the kid you didn't want your kid hanging out with. Divorced parents, no direction, didn't have any role models, no respect for authority. Did what I wanted, overdosed in 7th grade, almost died on cocaine and speed.
In 7th grade?
7th grade. Yeah. When you fall into the wrong crowd, bad shit happens. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was hanging around the guys who sold drugs, were on house arrest. I was bullied while my parents were getting divorced. It just really affected me. I got depressed, and I think there was a lot of people who just kind of honed in on that and took advantage of it. And then when I started fighting back, I landed in the wrong crowd, and that's what led me down that path. So around that 10th grade year, I realized that I needed to do something with my life because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going anywhere. And that's when I decided I was going to join the Marine Corps. In my mind, the best of the best. And then when I told people, no one believed me that I was going to be able to do it. So it gave me more motivation to actually do it. I started going to the recruiting events and training with a bunch of the poolies and just getting ready for boot camp. And then when I got to Parris Island, I was on the Yellow Footprints. I knew I was in the right place. As uncomfortable as it was, it created this level of awareness to all the things that were inside me that I never knew existed: leadership, camaraderie, discipline, commitment, courage, belief, all of it. And I had an amazing Marine Corps career, which brought me to a place where I was ready for the real world, but I wasn't, because my mind was a little bit broken, having been overseas for so long.
Where were you stationed?
So I was Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, infantryman. Had some special duties, Marine Corps bodybuilders, and personal security up at the Pentagon in DC. When I got out, I went over and did 4 years of contracting work in Iraq, pretty much straight through for 4 years. I might have been home maybe a total of a month. So that's a lot of time to be in one spot.
Wow. I didn't know you did that. Were you always like a tough guy?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, were you always big and kind of tough? Or
when I graduated boot camp, I was 160. I'm 6'3", so I was pretty frail.
Okay.
When I got to the bodybuilder section in the Marine Corps, which was in 2000, I was 185, 190, because I had started lifting in the fleet. And that's where I fell in love with fitness and wanted to be a bodybuilder. So that was my mindset. I'm like, I'm gonna be an IFBB pro. So getting to the bodybuilder section, I'm the smallest one by far. Little story though, when I had it, you have to do a strength test to become a bodybuilder. You have to, meet certain strength requirements. And when I went into the gym for the first time to do that, one of the Marines had a pack of toothpicks, and he threw them at me and told me to go find my legs. So from that day forward, I've had this crazy obsession with training my legs, because it's just
that's why your muscles have muscles. I understand this. Yeah. They psychologically punked you, and you're like, "Fuck you guys! This is not going to happen."
I mean, Is
this why you and Andy wear such tight shorts, just to show everybody what the fuck is up nowadays? You're like, ain't nobody gonna throw 2 picks at me ever again.
Yeah. Well, it just feels good. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm working hard for this. Why do I want to hide it?
I need some shorter shorts, apparently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I could say right there. I'm moving on. So you're in the Marine Corps. You're now, and you were over in Iraq.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing in Iraq for contracting work? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah. Well, to a certain degree, I am. It's a part of the war you don't really hear about. It's all it's the identity management portion of the war. So it's the biometrics, the fingerprints, the iris scans, the biographical data. We would lift latent fingerprints off of IEDs, bombs, and then we'd go catch the guys who did it. Most people don't realize when you're messing around with something, just because it explodes doesn't mean your fingerprints aren't still on it. We can still pull your fingerprints off of exploded ordnance.
Yeah. I mean, I build my bombs with gloves on.
Yeah.
So I should be good.
Well, I'm sure some of them do now, but this is we had massive impact in an area that most people don't hear about because of the classification of it.
It's really smart that we were doing that, though. That's good. I'm glad that guys like you were over there, like you guys were like detectives.
Yeah, we caught some bad dudes.
Okay,
really bad dudes.
I love that.
Yeah, and then once people started realizing who we were, we became a massive target.
Oh, that's got to be a weird feeling.
Weird.
Yeah. I was lucky when I was in the military. It was the only thing that happened was Desert Fox happened, which was like a little precursor to Desert Storm. After Desert Storm. Desert Fox was like a flare up where we fired some missiles into Iraq. And then they bombed the Cole. I remember when that happened, and I was in the military because they bombed one of our ships.
I was at that ceremony at Arlington for those.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. But they flew. We were over in the Persian Gulf doing 5-knot circles and firing Tomahawk missiles into Iraq at that time for the little Desert Fox thing. And they called me up and said, "Hey, Sperber, we're pulling you off the ship." And so they actually flew me to Jebel Ali, and then Bahrain, and then I went to Iraq, and then I went to back to the U.S. And I remember walking around in it was either Jebel Ali or Bahrain or somewhere, and just the stations and all the people with the machine guns and like the barbed wire and like the dirt. And it was like, just like what you would see in the movies. Like it was very like deserty, war torn. And I remember thinking to myself, thank God I'm not in the Marine Corps. Thank God I'm not out there on the front lines in the Army or something like that. Like I was very happy to be on a ship in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Because it's scary.
Yeah, it's not only that, but for the Marine Corps, we always get the hand-me-downs. So we get the once it's gone through everyone's hands, then we finally get it. So then it's like, wow, we get this. Meanwhile, everyone else has all the newest shit out there. So you learn, this is where the improvise, adapt, and overcome is a very important point to what you just said. Like what we're able to do with very minimal equipment in the most austere environment, I think it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, hoorah. All right. So how did you come out of that and you go up to Hollywood and you're like, I'm going to be one of the greatest trainers in Hollywood. Send your celebrities my way. How did you break into that business?
Funny enough, Hollywood wasn't even a blip on my radar. There was never any desire to be a part of it. When I left Iraq, I took a leap of faith to move to New Orleans for some contract work with Marine Forces North, the component command for the Marine Corps under U.S. Northcom. And unfortunately, the plan didn't really materialize the way I had thought it was. In my mind, this plan was incredible to transition, but they cut some of the funding. Things got drawn out. And next thing I know, the position wasn't really there for me to dive into it and start my real transition back into civilian life. So what happened was I lost everything I had. I had to file for bankruptcy. I was living out of my car and I was trying to figure out like, okay, I did all this amazing shit in the Marine Corps. How am I homeless in my car right now? Like I can't make sense out of it. So, I was trying to find work to no avail. And I had some people encourage me to do what I was good at and what I love, which was fitness. Most people don't realize fitness is a really personal thing to me. I never wanted to share it with anybody. And out of desperation, I decided to do it instead of going back overseas. So I got certified as a personal trainer, found this 24-hour gym in uptown New Orleans and started training people. And then within, just a few months, Zac Efron walked in the gym. He was doing a movie about a Marine Iraq veteran. So we just clicked. They brought me to set. The director and producer wanted me to tech advise him, teach him how to be a Marine, how to talk like a Marine, how to walk like a Marine. If a Marine was in these situations, how would he react? That was my job with Zac. He had a trainer at the time. When he left before production ended, Zac and I trained. He fell in love with my training style. And then all the way up until Baywatch, we pretty much trained together, even if it was long distance remote. But I realized at the time that there was something there. I could create something that I didn't know existed because there were more films and TV shows being shot in Louisiana than anywhere else in the world. This is why I say it's the destiny thing. So I met some people on the set. They would send me these production reports every time they got updated. So every time a new production came into town, they would send me the new report. I'd go hit the office. I had flyers made. I was giving out free training sessions. I wanted everybody to know who I was. So I call it guerrilla warfare. I was just literally in these offices every week. And I became the go-to guy. Within a few more months, I was training The Rock and Stallone, and Zac was back in town for another movie, and it was just off to the races.
What about New Orleans? Is there like a bunch of movie production things there that?
It was the tax credit. So if you ever see Hollywood, they'll always be where the best tax incentive is. So in Louisiana at the time, it was the best. And then what happened was they kept threatening to put a cap on it. So as soon as they did, it went to Atlanta. Atlanta was ready for it. And almost overnight, productions were literally just opening offices in New Orleans. They shut it down and moved to Atlanta that quick. That's how.
So because of probably Katrina, they brought all these tax credits in to rejuvenate New Orleans?
Probably.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds about right. And then they moved it to Atlanta. That's
and
wow.
It's always floating around too, like North Carolina, New Mexico. I mean, I think from what I understand, there's one being slowly implemented here in Arizona, which I pray that happens because we'll be able to replicate what we did in New Orleans.
That's cool. All right, so now you're being introduced. Are you nerding out? Are you like starstruck when The Rock is hanging out? Or are you just like, yo, he's one of the clients. Let's go whip ass.
It's really cool, but I'm not a celebrity guy. I'm not a starstruck guy. Being face to face, having them ask you questions about what I'm going to do to help them was a little bit surreal. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm good at. So I was just in my comfort zone. And the thing I think what made me more successful is the fact that I didn't get starstruck, that I don't care about what movie they're filming or what they're going to film after, what they filmed before. I'm there because I was hired to do a job. You want to transform, you need to look like a certain character. And that's what we're going to do, especially The Rock and those guys who were in that same mindset where they like to train in the dirty gyms. They like to go to that place where it's fucking painful as hell. And they like to just go to a place where normal people don't like to go.
Well, since you brought that up, what does that look like? Right? Like, how do you get yourself in a mindset? Most people go to the gym, they put on their, fancy sneakers and their nice, cute gym clothes. If you're a chick, and if you're a dude, you're just throwing on whatever. But like, I look around the gym, maybe one out of every 100 are like getting it, like just like getting it. Everybody else is just kind of going through these motions.
Yeah.
What's different about like what you're talking about?
I think it's more about approaching training very intentionally. If you're going to spend time, if you're going to carve time out of the day to go in there, why would you go in there to just mindlessly move weights day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and look no different? So for me, going into the gym is really about creating change physically, but also tapping into a level of mental growth that I think is hard to do in any other way because it revolves around pain. Most people, when you get under heavy weight, if people even get under heavy weight, once you have the weight of it and you're feeling it, it can be a fucking fearful thing. Like you can get hurt. I mean, shit, if you do it the wrong way, you can die. You can pass out. You can faint. I like to push those boundaries. I like to push the limits of my clients to where those are in the realm of possibilities. But if you do it the right way, you'll be in the realm that you need to be in. But if you ask any serious seasoned gym goer why they go to the gym or what they get out of it, most of the time they'll tell you that it's more mental than it is physical. And that's what it is for me. Is I like going in and pushing myself to a place where I'm doing things that not many other people are willing to do. I would say can't, but everyone can do it. It's just a matter of getting your mind to a place where you let yourself explore these limits that you have. But if you don't push yourself to them, you never know what they look like. So most people just go in there and they don't follow any routine. They have a body part they want to train, and they just kind of mindlessly move weight. I talk about the anatomy of a rep. Contraction, you got the eccentric, the concentric, the contraction, the bottom of a rep, maybe pausing, getting full extension. But if you can really think about a rep as being there's actual structure to it, your whole training will change in a way that it'll be impossible for your body not to respond. And that's what I like to teach my clients how to do. Go in there, embrace the pain, do the things that most people aren't willing to do, create that mental growth. And what's going to happen is you'll be able to achieve in 90 days what most people can't achieve in 1 to 2 years, just by being intentional about going in there.
Yeah, I got to step my game up there for sure. This is just me being kind of selfish, trying to pick your brain. Do you feel like working with a partner is much better than on your own, so you can get to failure?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of times, like I know if you're standing over top of me saying, do it again, I'm going to keep pushing until I fell. I won't do that on my own.
Well, up until I moved to Vegas in 2020, January of 2020, I had pretty much been training on my own because in my mind, I'm like, this is my sanctuary. It's my time. I just want to be alone. I want to get in the gym when I want to get into. I want to stay for as long as I want. If I switch up the routine midstream, I want to do it, not have to answer questions about why I'm doing it. When I moved to Vegas in 2020, I started training with a good friend of mine. His name is Stan Efferding. If you don't know who he is, check him out. He's the world's strongest IFBB pro. He has many records that he's set. But we just clicked in a way that a lot of people don't, because like I'm at a 3.5 years almost training together. I was never late for one session. Matter of fact, I was always there at least 10 to 15 minutes early. And that's just the Marine. But what I realized was how it made me remember, like when I was a bodybuilder training with the caskets and the weights, always with the team. Just having someone there next to you sometimes is all you need to push out 2, 3, 4 more reps, to add on 10, 20, 30 more pounds. It's just that aspect of having someone stand next to you. And then for me, having Stan there, because he was, bigger than life and wouldn't let me stop and forcing me to do heavier weight and forcing me to go into these forced reps and forcing me to do all the things that really hurt, my body started growing again. And it was, so anyway.
So it was like kind of stagnant, and now you're breaking the tissue down so much that it forced growth.
100%.
That's so true in life.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that because I think that's the full circle of this conversation. So you're in Hollywood, or in the Hollywood scene. You're now training all these celebrities. How are you sitting in front of me here today? How'd you end up with Andy Elliott? Because you were
such a crazy journey.
You were doing that. How come you're not just doing that?
Well, it got even more intense because I started getting into acting and stunts, which, again, mind blown. When I was training with The Rock and Stallone, these guys, it brought a lot of notoriety to me, which brought in directors and producers. I became kind of everyone wanted to train with me. And the directors and producers are the ones who call the shots on film and on productions, right? If they want someone, they'll hire you. And they started to tell me to think about getting in front of the camera, to get an acting coach, to do some stunt training, to start thinking about things outside of just training because of, in their words, my look and my presence. So I got an acting coach. The therapy of it was incredible, right? So again, a lot of people don't realize up to this point, I was dealing with some pretty heavy demons in my mind, just from all the shit I had been through. And I had no real outlet besides the gym. So I got into acting now, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool, because now, like, I've got an acting coach. At the very beginning, him and I almost fought, because I'm like, you keep fucking bringing me down this hole, talking to me like that, we're gonna have a serious problem. But I realized, kind of like boot camp, right? Break you down, build you back up.
Yeah.
Embrace vulnerability, because that's going to get you down to your baseline so that you can embrace these other characters. And what ended up happening was, now I'm using all these repressed emotions that have been buried for so long. I'm able to actually do something with them. So the therapy of it was incredible. Started doing the stunt training, learning my limitations and capabilities. And it brought me into a whole new world. So 2015, I moved to LA, signed on with bigger reps. Everything was going amazing. I was traveling. I was on big productions. And 2020 was mapped out to be my biggest year acting wise.
Oh no.
So I couldn't.
You're just breaking through.
Right. Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Finally, I was like, dude, this is incredible, because I was finishing two productions in New Orleans at the end of 2019. I'm talking to the producer, and he's like, why are you still in LA? It's a good point, because I don't need to be there. Like, auditions or a lot of it can be done remotely. I can be in Vegas. Vegas is like an athlete's paradise to me, by the way, so you know. So I moved. I came back from there, moved to Vegas in January, and then I was supposed to head to Boston for my next project in March. I was mapped out for all the way through 2020 for the first time ever. And then March rolled around 3 weeks before I was supposed to fly out. what's this COVID thing? Yeah. My producer was like, hey, it looks like we're production's going to get delayed by a couple weeks. And then the following week he was like, well, we're shutting down the production office for now. And the third week, the industry was completely shut down.
Mm.
And it made me realize all the work that I had been doing was reliant on Hollywood. I had no depth outside of it. So I had a lot of self-reflection. I had a lot of work to do to figure out, all right, well, I don't ever want to be in this position ever again. So how do I get out of it? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the gold mine that I'm sitting on and I'm going to launch my own fitness business. So I launched Aaron Williamson Fitness, my online coaching, and boom, off to the races.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think you could have timed it any better for something like that. That was a smart move because everybody was looking for online something, especially what do I do in my house? If I can't go to a gym, what do I do?
Yeah.
I go online. So you were kind of right there at the right time. And blessings and lessons out of all those breakdowns. There's always something beautiful that comes out of it.
Yeah.
So, and just to kind of tie a nice pretty bow on this evolution, how'd you get with Andy?
So the way this happened was in let me just backtrack this really quick here. In November 2022, I got treated for post-traumatic stress through the stellate ganglion block treatment, SGB. You have a block of nerves on the left and right side of your neck in the C4. They inject you with some anesthetic, and it opens up this pathway, which basically takes you from sympathetic back to parasympathetic, which is essentially, when you're stuck in that fight or flight, it's why you fall into all these issues. So I had, when they went into the first side of my neck, the release that I had across my whole body, I compare it to if you've ever had something that's been vacuum sealed. It's so tight and compressed, and you open it up and it's like you can just hear the air come out. You can see it filling back out. That sensation went across my whole body. And it was like this involuntary emotional response where I just started crying. But the next day, it just felt like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. I was thinking so clearly. And I remember, because I journal, from that point forward, I was like, I need to talk. I need to speak. I need to talk. I need to talk. I need to talk. I need to talk. And then, so I started reaching out to people to maybe share my story, get on podcasts. I met a guy named Rene Rodriguez in March of this year in Louisiana. I opened an event speaking with him. Him and I hit it off. I started traveling with him. He puts on these Amplify workshops. And the reason why I'm saying that is because he brought me to this closer event, which was actually in Las Vegas, which Andy and Brad were at. And he brought me back. I met Andy. Andy and I talked for probably 30 minutes. And he said, hey, I want you to come out and see our place. So the next week I drove out. We had 2 days together. And he was like, it's a done deal, dude. You're going to move here. Like, what do I need to do to make this happen? Literally within weeks, I moved, just dropped everything in Vegas and moved out there and started from scratch.
I love that.
Yeah. And it was based on, there was not one signature on a piece of paper. It was based on him and I talking and a handshake, which in this day and age to do that, because he's bringing me into his world. I'm leaving everything to come, to do that on a handshake is pretty remarkable in this day and age.
I think you got it too. But one of the things I like most about Andy is when you meet him, he makes you feel like you're one of the most important people.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks you in the eyes and really zeroes in. And he does a great job of closing and selling the dream. Like, this is what we're going to go do together. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
And if you can recognize the opportunity and the platform, you could do some real damage together. 1 + 1 = 11.
In this world, it does. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So many of our listeners reach out and they ask us how they can get involved in my actual real estate deals. Our investment firm specializes in finding deeply discounted properties, acquiring them, renovating, stabilizing both single-family and multifamily properties all over the United States. That's why we're so excited to share with you clevercapitalfund.com. Now, if you have some investment capital and you want to deploy it and receive double-digit returns backed by real estate, then visit our website and see which fund is right for you. We have both equity funds and we have debt funds where you just get paid out every every month like clockwork. All you got to do is visit www.clevercapitalfund.com today to learn more.
Okay, cool. So now that we caught up to speed of kind of how we got here, which by the way, I never even heard about that. What was the blockage called again?
Stellate ganglion block.
Yeah.
SGB.
And you literally just had this injection and it just released everything? That's crazy.
Really crazy, yeah.
You know, so many veterans. I have a whole bunch of friends that are veterans that were in the Marines and Army that had to do some really horrible shit, that have extreme PTSD, that are hooked on all kinds of fucked up stuff. And, you know, a lot of them are thankfully getting off a lot of that stuff, getting into breathwork therapy. You know, a couple of them even tried ayahuasca and other things.
Yeah.
I've never heard about this, but that's probably something that they probably have heard of. That.
Well, it's, you know, you get the release here, like it's a reset. But what you have to do is some follow-on work. There's some therapy that you have to do because you have to break all those old habits. You know, thinking of a certain way for so long, you have to talk through that so you can break all that. But you're more open to understanding how to do it rather than being in that state where you can't even grasp the idea of changing because it's so uncomfortable.
So let's talk about change. There's a lot of people out there floating through life right now. You know, I'm a big proponent of how important health and wealth and the correlation between the two. If you want to be a superstar, you got to go upstream and you got to get your health on point. And for me, I'm on this mission right now to like just force everybody that is my business partner or that is close in my inner circle. They got to get their health game on point. They just have to. If they want to hang out with me, they got to get their shit together, even if I have to pay for it. Like, we're doing it.
Yep.
What is your belief on why people kind of roll through life as a bunch of beta pussies that don't ever amount to anything, and they're always making excuses and blaming and never get their health game on point and eat themselves to death and you know, use all these fucking vices that keep them numbed out instead of actually getting after it and like doing the hard work and transforming their lives?
Yeah, it's I feel like we're in an age right now where we're chasing comfort, and we always want everything to come easy, and we want everything to taste good. We want everything to feel good. But where's the stimulus for growth? Like where does, if you're not putting yourself in positions that are uncomfortable, if you're not putting yourself into positions that are painful, if you're not doing things that go against the grain, like what do you expect is going to happen out of life? Because if you keep going down the path of comfort, that's what everyone's doing. Therefore, you just end up like everyone. Everyone is just the same. To your point, beta pussies, like every time something happens in society, we want to try and figure out a way to prevent it from happening again. But sometimes it's to the detriment of actual like personal growth, because you're preventing people from being put in a position where they could potentially grow from something, but now something is banned. Anyway, I'm such an old school guy of the mindset of if it hurts, you should do it. If it doesn't taste good, it's probably good for you. And so just having that complete opposite mentality today, I think creates a level of success that most people can't comprehend. You know, we're being told to eat the most nonsensical shit. Like, what is this Lucky Charms being better than steak? Where I was just looking at this chart again yesterday. I'm like, how does this, like, this is like,
it's wild.
Can someone really take this seriously? The prescription medications that you get on, you know, I got into the biohacking space pretty recently, and it allowed me to understand the human biology side of things much more deeply than I ever knew, because I've always been a transformation guy, and which has really been from a bodybuilding focus, right? And it's about meeting macros, and it's about the exterior, the physical. But when I started to really understand the issues that happen internally from the foods we're eating and the medications we're on, and then you look at inflammation and you look at elevated blood sugar and you look at all these things, and those are the drivers of chronic sickness and disease. So why would we not want to change that so that we can go back to our baseline of being healthy and no longer needing the medications, no longer worrying about what runs in the family, because it'll never present itself if you're taking care of your body. It's really mind blowing to me that we can be so focused on everything else except for our health. Like our cars, our houses, our jets, our boats, our food, our alcohol, our drugs, our this, our that, our women. But yet when it comes to the one thing that you should be cherishing the most, it's in the back seat or it's in the trunk. And then you want to open it up when it's too late and try and fix it.
When you get the bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so many people walk around life allowing other people to steer their ship. We're constantly being pulled in all these directions, having to go to your second cousin's wedding on the East Coast that you don't even know, and you're paying all this money to travel because you feel obligated. It's like, you should feel obligated to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I've been on this mission the last 2 years. I'm glad you brought up biohacking. I before we started this, I actually showed you my regimen today as of the filming of this podcast. So we had Dr. D on here. He's owns a company called Biohacks out of Miami. He did all my blood work, like tons of tests and blood work. I had to sit down with his doctor, and they did full physicals, all that stuff. And I'm starting biohacking. I don't know what that means yet, except for today I took my first round of 50 billion pills, and I had to stab myself a couple times with a few injections. And I actually was showing you my supplement schedule. What you really realize is it's just a bunch of vitamins, minerals, and supplements that your body is lacking.
Yep.
It's not, I mean, that's really biohacking is, from my understanding as of right now, is just getting you back into, like, taking all the nasty shit that you shouldn't be putting in your body and getting it away from you, and putting the stuff that your body needs and giving it to you. And I got to tell you, besides my ass hurting a little bit from stabbing myself 5 times with a needle, which is interesting because it's literally like 3 times a week. And you mentioned traveling. Yeah. I think that's going to be a pain in the ass because some of it needs to be refrigerated and like prepping. It's like a new prep.
Yeah.
It's like meal prepping, but I got to do it with my biohacking supplements.
When it creates that level of, all right, well, this is the lifestyle. This is the habit. So no matter what, I'm always going to prepare for it. If I'm traveling, if I'm going to be gone from my house or my office for 6 hours, it's like, you can prepare for all this.
You got to prepare. And so it's like a mindset shift of like, okay, I'm doing this. So I made the commitment. It's not cheap, it's thousands of dollars a month. But the cost of getting that call one day because I didn't take my health seriously, it's like, I got money now. Why would I not spend a portion of my money on making my mechanics, my body, my biology the best it possibly can be, and putting the right fuel in my body? And, yeah, it's funny because one of the things I'm taking now, I've never taken before, is NAD. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotides.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, 13 paragraphs long.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, I feel great. Well, it's like instant energy. By the way, NAD is mitochondrial energy repair for your DNA. Possible side effects, dizziness, post-injection.
Well, if you think about
which, by the way, I didn't feel any dizziness. I felt great. Felt like I took some energy drink.
I can feel your energy.
Oh God. It was like, I'm like, give me some more of that shit. Whatever that is. That's good.
We eat these crazy foods that just completely inflame our body, keep our blood sugar elevated. And as we age, part of aging usually is your hormones naturally kind of declining. When you make it that much worse by giving your body everything it doesn't want, then the whole state of your being, including the way you think, is affected. So by getting into all this, doing what you're doing, getting rid of the inflammation, bringing yourself back to an optimal place of health, getting all your hormone levels, your vitamins, your minerals, all those nutrients in a place where you feel alive again. In some sense, you can, potentially reverse aging a little bit. But there's so many different health and longevity protocols. Like there are these which, are a little more on the expensive side. But then let's just say, all right, well, cold therapy, hot therapy, oxygen, like cold dip, cold shower, sauna, go out in the sunlight, morning, evening, get some red light, do breath work. Like all these things are part of health and longevity. This is part of biohacking that are free, that you can do pretty much anytime you need to. That'll help.
I just partnered with a local company called Desert Plunge. And they make cold plunges, and they're really smart how they do it because they're affordable cold plunges.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting my first one delivered here next week, and because I told him, I said, I'm on this train. Like, I'm going all in. Like, I'm going to obsess over this. I want to slow my aging down. Dr. D, who said I don't know how they tell. I took this biometric age test I get in like 3 weeks back, but he claims that he's been able to slow his age of aging down by up to 25%. I don't know how that is measured, but shit, if I can add an extra 10, 15, 20 years onto my health,
oh yeah,
let's fucking do it.
Massive.
Yeah, I'd give a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, normally when you're looking at someone's physical health, their internal health, usually you see that through blood work. Andy did it, Jackie did it, Renee did it, Brad Lee did it. But there's a guy named David Boyd who runs this company called Blind Spot, and I call it the next level of let's see what's beyond the blood. The best way I explain it is if I were to take your organs and throw them up on a TV screen in 3D, and let's look at the effects of how you've lived your life up until now.
So it's like a 3D biometric scan or something.
You get in the CT scan, you do the MRIs. It's like really comprehensive here. And then you get the results back and you're literally looking at your heart. So let's just say right now your blood work came back because the last year you changed everything. Your blood work comes back and it's like, wow, this is the best blood work I've ever seen. But the 10 years, 15 years prior, you just treated your body like shit. So so your blood work says you're good, but your heart says.
So Blind Spot through the scans can identify what you're not understanding yet that could become a major issue.
Yeah. Like
now, does it just give you a bunch of anxiety? Because they're like, yeah, your heart's fucked.
No.
Or can they actually help you fix it?
Yeah. You get a protocol with it. Like, all right, well, now we've identified it. Let's try and correct it or make sure it doesn't get worse. But heart, prostate, lungs, liver, brain, all of it. Yeah. It's fascinating stuff. So there's so many different levels to this.
I'll tell you this, my anxiety has gone way down since I've been cold plunging. Inflammation, anxiety, my muscle fatigue, everything seems to be rebounding much faster, and it only takes like a minute or two in a cold plunge.
Cold plunging is life, man. Like I wish I would have done this so long ago. Like even like if you can start your day off with a cold plunge, or even just cold plunge before you train. Before you train.
See, I've been doing it after. I need to do it before.
Do it before, yeah. Like there's the old school thought of, after you work out, you want to get in the cold plunge because it has something to do with inflammation and stuff. But really, when you train after you work out, that inflammation that's happening in your body is actually somewhat of a good thing. You don't want to prevent that because that's the body doing what it needs to do to heal itself. But if you go in before or start the day off, you can actually, funny enough, you can actually boost your test score by over 200 points by cold plunging and then working out, doing some hard leg training.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense though. Wow. Well, I got into a debate, an online debate with some fucking keyboard jockey the other day. I was on Dean Graciosi's podcast, and I said something along the lines of, "Yeah, it's a shame that there are more millionaires than there are people with six packs." 1 in 10 Americans, or 10,000. What was it? What was the quote? One in
something crazy.
It was like 1 in 10,000 Americans are millionaires and 1 in 25,000 have a six pack, or whatever the stat was. It was a real stat. So I said it, and everybody piled. A six pack doesn't determine health. That has nothing to do with health. There's a lot of healthy people that don't have I'm like, you dumb motherfucker. You're missing the essence of what I'm saying. I'm saying that in order to achieve a six pack, you have to have a certain level of leanness. You have to put a lot of energy and work into it. And even if you're naturally just a skinny person with a six pack, I meant being healthy.
Yeah.
Putting in the work.
It shows a level of discipline. It shows a level of commitment that most people don't have. If you see someone with a six pack, 100% they take care of their bodies, at least to some degree.
Yeah.
There are some genetic freaks who...
They're rare though.
They're rare.
And it's rarer now more than ever with the foods that we eat because we're a fast food economy.
Yeah.
But I just always think it's funny. It's like, why are you debating me? Motherfucker, let me see you naked.
Yeah.
Like, let me see you naked right now. And if I'm not willing to trade places with you because you're just you have muscles on muscles and you're just like a physique that I'm just envious of, shut the fuck up. Like, why are you saying your opinion? I've never once in the history of ever, if I don't know, I'm not going to sit there and say it. And two, I don't comment on successful people's fucking posts debating them if I'm not like the authority in the space.
Well, going back to health.
Like, I'm not going to debate you on health.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, to the point of health, it just goes to show how toxic people's minds are, but also how miserable they are in life, that they take that much time to focus and write back and forth and comment on someone's stuff. I'm with you. Like, if I don't like something or I don't agree with it, I move on past it. It's so toxic. I see people on Andy's stuff all the time where it's like literally they'll just be. It's like they live in this state of negativity where they can't. It's like they just can't stop themselves from being negative.
Yeah, I mean, it drives his engagement. So maybe I need some more of that. Just loop the clip of me going. Just show me yourself naked.
Yeah,
I already know I'm gonna get hazed for that one. I've said like 4 things that are just fucked up today because I was talking earlier about the shots that I had to give myself, but I said it in a way of like, my ass hurts from what I've been sticking in my ass. And everybody in the room just looked at me and I'm like, no, the needles, remember, we're biohacking. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm talking about biohacking over here. Oh man. So what are you guys doing now? So like entrepreneurs come into your guys' world, they get the training, they get the entrepreneurship shit. I mean, you guys are really a mind fucking company. You guys come in and really like reprogram people to actually have belief and, have the right operating system and go out there and dominate, plus all the technical skills like sales and persuasion and influence. How are you getting involved? So like they literally hand them off to you and say, hey, fix this fat bastard. He needs help.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what Andy does with the sales training, what the Elliott Group does is they teach people the right way to do things in a way that they're able to believe in themselves enough to do it. When it comes to what I do, I get brought in like, all right, well, let's look at the other part of it. This is where the love-hate things come into play because I've got to look at you now and I've got to tell you what you don't want to hear. And that's where people, sometimes it'll change their life when you can tell them what they need to hear, even though they don't want to hear it, because no one really wants to tell people what they don't want to hear.
They're too nice. They don't talk direct to them and actually tell them the truth.
Yeah, if you're fat, you're fucking fat. Like there's no way around it. It's just what it is. You did it to yourself. You can get yourself out of it. And, especially like, high performers, executive CEOs, sometimes you get so tunnel vision in work that you lose sight of your own health. And then by the time you're ready to think about it and take it on again, you're so far gone that you don't even know where to start. And then you try and, read some stuff to get you back in the right mind state. And it's like, all right, well, this says do this, but this says don't do what this just said. So you remain in this place where you're so confused that you don't know what to do. And really, in my opinion, it's all so basic because fundamentally it's all like your health and success is revolved around food. And if you can change your way of thinking to look at food differently rather than, enjoyment, comfort, reward, if you can think of it in terms of survival, lifestyle, health, energy, I mean, what you can do within 30, 60, 90 days is pretty mind-blowing. But a lot of these people don't believe in themselves enough to even take the first step forward. So you have to try and frame it in a way where you can get them to believe in themselves and you can help them see the vision and help them create a path forward. And that's what we do with our program is, all right, here's a community, come into our community. You have peers now, like you can talk to anyone in the groups. You can bounce things off of each other that you might be doing or things that you're suffering with. We've got Tuesday live calls where we get on Zoom and just kind of talk about everything. There's tremendous value in creating the community for our clients, where it's not just go get healthy. It's like, go get healthy, but by the way, here's how to do it. Let us show you, and we're going to lead by example, because we're not like everything we're telling you to do, we live it. And it's easy as texting a number, 602-900-8703. If you text that number, one of my team or someone on my team or myself will be right back in contact with you. I would say within minutes, to get you set up on a program, because this is literally.
What does something like that cost?
So $597 for 90 days, or we have $5,000 for 90 days, which $5,000 is more customized. $597 will change your body and change your way of thinking and change everything about the way you're doing things now, right? So what a lot of people do is they just need a starting point. The $597 program is good to start because the program is all laid out for you. By the end of the 90 days, what a lot of people end up doing is they've understood some things about themselves. They've learned some things. They have new goals. That's when customization would come into play better, because now you're more in tune with your body. You know what's happening. You know where your mind is right now in a way that you didn't before. I've got my inner circle that I work with clients. But anyway, it's like, it's as simple as texting a number and then making a commitment. People want so much information. It's like, at some point, you've got enough information. You need the damn transformation. You need to take the leap. You need to take the step and just do it.
Yeah. So many people join a gym and then never go.
Never go.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, the gym culture is probably one of the best things I've ever been involved in, just because, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you go into a gym, you can be having a shitty day. You go in there, you warm up, you get moving. Next thing you know, you're talking to the guy next to you, you're talking to the lady behind you, you're leaving there, you're on the phone, you feel great, you've got the endorphins, you're glad you got in there, because it took everything in your power to get in there because you didn't want to go. But once you got in there, you were good. You're going to wake up better tomorrow having done it.
Yep.
So it's just, everyone needs to be doing something. Movement is medicine.
Do you do fasted cardio or anything like that?
Fasted
cardio?
cardio.
You're lean. You're super lean. Like,
I walk. Honestly, like, I walk a lot.
Like walk to walk, or you're just walking around a lot?
No, I walk. I walk intentionally. Like, walking is my cardio. I build additional cardio into my training because I like to push my limits, where maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute rest periods. So if you put a lot of weight on, if you're moving weights like purposefully, that 1 minute rest is going to feel like 2 seconds, and it's going to push your cardiovascular in a way that it's going to feel like you're out running sprints where you just literally can't catch your breath. I like that world. That's what I call deep water.
Yeah. You
can't breathe. It's like to a point where you're almost nervous. When I finish doing legs, literally I'm already thinking about my next leg session. Probably even when I'm already on my last leg exercise, I'm already thinking about the next one. And there's like, if you train legs right, there's a level of, man, I can't wait to crush it. But then there's like this underlying fear behind it, because you know what you're about to do to yourself. And that's what I love about the way I train and the way I try and teach my clients, is you can go into these mental places that most people don't even know exist. They're told rep schematics, 8 to 12, 12 to 15. I like to push limits with people. Maybe we'll do 20 reps. Maybe we'll do 50. I've done some sets up to 100. You just push the mental limit. Like, you wouldn't do that all the time, but it's like a form of shock training. If you want to give stimulus, if you want to wake up, do something completely out of the ordinary. Do something extreme. Push yourself to a place that you didn't even know you could push yourself to. I call those like little mental journeys, because if you're trying to push 50 reps or 100 reps, especially with a lot of weight, it'll feel like that one set is 30 minutes, which it might only be 4 minutes.
But then on top of hitting it so hard that you're getting the cardiovascular pump, you're also walking. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're trying to say? Like you also go, because I walk, I'm only asking because this is what I do every day. I get up, I take my surge, I drink a giant thing of water, I put on, my outfit, and I go blasting for about a 4-mile fasted cardio power walk.
Perfect.
And I'm hauling ass like there's a sale on aisle 3.
Best thing in my opinion to burn fat. But also if when you're walking, tell me your mind doesn't get creative.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I have full conversations with myself all over the place. Yeah.
I'm making voice notes so I don't forget because I'm so creative when I'm walking. I've got a list of things when I get back. I'm like, man, and if you were to just have sat there on the couch or watched TV or did whatever mundane things around the house, that creativity would have never presented itself to you. So this is another beauty of getting out there and movement being medicine for fat burn, for health, for mental growth. But there's also the flip side where I think, cardiovascular, if you want to call it HIIT or whatever it's called, I feel like things have 10 different meanings these days. But when you can push your cardiovascular to a more extreme side for maybe short durations, 10 or 15 minutes, I think that's important too for heart health, cardiovascular health. So each one has their own purpose.
Mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, mix it up.
All right. Well, anything else that we should deploy some wisdom on these people before we let you go? Because I feel like we've done a good job kind of talking about how we got here and some things, but I don't know. We're a financial literacy podcast and we're talking health. I've been talking a lot about health actually.
Well,
but I think it's important.
It's the foundation of everything. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what your job is. It matters nothing about nothing. Health should be the foundation of everyone's life, because without it, what are you really? You're a heart attack away from, there's always some potential risk of something that can be prevented just from eating right and exercising. So I challenge everyone on here who's listening to this. If you're in a place where you don't know where to start, if you have questions about, should I do it? The answer should always be, yeah, you should. And really believing in yourself enough to know that your health means everything, because when you become lazy, you disrespect everyone around you, including yourself, but everyone around you who believes in you. And I think it's just a massive slap in the face to your family, to your friends, for people who stick up for you, who go to bat for you, who encourage you to do things bigger than life, who open doors, all these opportunities. If you get in shape and you walk into a room and people can see you're in shape, the conversation is already different. I
can tell a lot about a person by how they treat themselves. By their physique. As soon as they walk in, this motherfucker's on.
Yeah.
This person cares. They care about the details. They care about their energy. They really are gunning. And that's why a lot of people that are gym goers do great in business. Because that level of dedication and sacrifice and hard work and knowing what the pain you got to go through to get that body, that's business. Business is fucking tough. It's if I knew starting off as an entrepreneur what I know now, I don't know if I would have done it. I mean, I had to do it because I was uncontrollable. But if you knew how many times you'd run out of money and run out of energy and people would fuck you over and sideline you and steal from you and just all the fucked up things that happen in business, especially if you are scaling. Every new level has a new devil. And it's just like, God, I don't know if I would have voluntarily went into that pain. But people that go to the gym, they're voluntarily going in and putting themselves in that pain. So they make great entrepreneurs.
Schedule suffering in your day. When you can do that, that level of mental growth is tremendous. And a lot of my higher end clients who are in my inner circle, when I work with them and I clean their bodies out, I bring them through a really hard food detox, and then we get into some fasting and health and longevity stuff. 30, 60 days into it, they've changed the culture of their entire business. They're finding money that they didn't even know was being lost or purposefully being spent on nonsense. They've gotten rid of bad employees. They've gained new employees.
They're making moves.
They're making
So question,
moves.
if I start working with you, am I still able to jerk off? Because I just want to know how deep in the deep zone, the pain zone I got to go before. Are you going to put me on a semen retention program so I can get clarity?
Where did I just hear this from?
I already know this is coming. I'm waiting for you to be like, all right, so there's one downside. You can't, what is the right word? I don't want to say the word come. I was really holding back saying that.
Hey, if you want to
ejaculate, that was the word I was looking for.
If you want to hold it in, hold it in. If you want to let it go, let it go.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, look, that's probably the best way we can end this podcast right there.
That's funny.
If you got some value from this, share this with a friend.
Hey, and text the number.
Yeah, what's the number?
602-900-8703. Text this number. I guarantee you, I promise you, your life will change. Like we don't fuck around over where we are. You know, Andy.
You guys are animals.
We're a bunch of veterans. We care about our people. We've created a community, and I mark my words, next year we will be the top fitness platform.
I love that. You guys are going to have an army of just ripped motherfuckers in the smallest shorts that they make in humanly possible.
Yes.
They're all going to be tighties.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be like, who are all these people in the Elliott Army tighty whities? And it's because you guys really do transform lives. We have a saying at one of my companies, transforming mind, bodies, and bank accounts. And that's kind of what you guys are doing right now. Yeah, for sure. Well, I wish you lots of success. I wanted to hire you until I heard this conversation, and now I'm scared to death to hire you because I know you're going to put me in a massive amount of pain. But if I can look like you by the time I'm done, I'm in like Flynn.
We'll get a session in together.
I would love that. Yeah, I've had multiple friends that work out with you tell me that that's a big mistake to show up, but we'll see what happens. All right. Well, thank you for being on. How do people find you?
Find me online, Instagram. I'm most active, Aaron V. Williamson. My website is aaronwilliamson.net. You can find me on any of the Elliott Army social media as well.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks, Aaron, for coming on in. That's all we have for you in this episode. Thank you guys for hanging out. We know your time is valuable. You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to hang out and listen to this podcast, so I appreciate it. Until next time, we're out of here. Take care. Comb your hair. Peace. Hey, Cody Sperber, the original Clever Investor, host of the Clever Investor Show podcast, and I'm shooting this ad right now to let you know that this podcast exists. It's finally out, and we have some amazing guests. So please, I'm begging you, can you just come and give our podcast a listen? I've been doing real estate for a really long time. I've accessed some of the coolest people in the world. We were having all these amazing conversations, and I'm like, what are we doing? Let's record this and actually put it out on a podcast. But the problem is, I have to let people know about it. That's where this ad comes in, and this is where you come in. You're going to be able to learn from successful entrepreneurs, get in-depth interviews from amazing leading experts. You're going to learn real estate investing strategies and tactical training strategies that work in today's market. We're going over market analysis and different market predictions. You're going to be able to engage in an awesome community. And we go into some pretty deep dives on the mindset of what it takes to win the game of money and in life, plus lots of bonus resources and exclusive content. So what you're going to want to do right now is click the link that you see on your screen and give the show a subscribe today. We have amazing guests like Ken McElroy and Robert Kiyosaki and Wes Watson and Pace Morby and Jamil Damji and Vina Jetty and a whole host of amazing men and women entrepreneurs that you're going to love to learn from and get to know. So what you want to do right now is click that link and give the show a subscribe today.